Kavindu akaumaba.
Choyo Kavindu Choyo moyo kei mumone.
Tiala makula sia Kavindu akaumaba.
Choyo
All right, I see Senator Sylvia Kasanga all smiles. She's very happy. She'll be telling us why. I know Dr. Nyikali still have some pending issues. I'll give you an opportunity to respond to that. But let's first focus on what has just happened in Machakos County. And of course, this was a by-election that saw one of the lowest voter turnout. Senator Kasanga, your views and comments about this?
Sam, you remember I expressed our confidence as Wiper the last time we were in studio, and we were sure we were going to win this one. Regardless of whether some other candidates stepped down or otherwise, we were sure we were going to take this one. This was for us to have, and we are very happy and we thank God. But most importantly, we want to really thank the people of Machakos for having made the right decision. Actually, this vote is not just a vote for Wiper and Kalonzo Musyoka. It is also a vote against impunity, against the politics of money, against the politics of using Matusi, you know, and it was a vote to celebrate good leadership. And that we really thank the Machakos people for, and we are very happy. Yes, indeed, there was a low voter turnout, as usually, I understand by-elections usually have a low voter turnout. And you know, it was a work day, and most of the population, in fact, the larger populations in the sub-counties was Mavoko, which you all know Mavoko people go to work mostly in Nairobi and in the industries. So that was definitely a big issue because they all go to work very early in the morning. In fact, most people leave their homes well before 5 in the morning in Mavoko area, in Syokimau area. So it was expected that we would not get the numbers that we were hoping for. But nonetheless, it was a very decisive win, and we are very proud. Of course, then it shows you the strength of the Wiper Party in Machakos and in the larger Ukambani region. And as I told you, we are going national, definitely. We are going to the next level. The confidence levels are high, and we want to encourage, you know, Kenyans just to see what we are all about. Our politics was also that was very peaceful. That is the other thing I have to say to the people of Machakos, and to thank them for a very peaceful election. We had no major incidences, and the few that happened, they were reported, and the Interior Ministry actually came out and did what was necessary every time a report was made. The few people who were caught trying to buy ID cards and, you know, bribe voters, they were caught, and those cases were filed accordingly. So it was a very peaceful election. I mean, we are grateful to the people of Machakos for what they did, and congratulations to them. And they have a good leader in Senator Kavindu, and we are looking forward to working with her in Senate. Of course, as you can imagine, there's a lot of pending work where Machakos oversight is concerned.
All right, and I wanted us to listen to the two leading contenders in that election, that is Barnes Gengele, as well as one Agnes Kavindu, who now won that election. Do you have that? Well, as we find it, Dr. Chris Omalo, of course, you have been having that alliance of Wiper, KANU, ANC, and Ford Kenya. This win, yes, you have won 104,000 votes, 80% of the votes cast, but also just about 16% of the total voter turnout, of the total voter population in Machakos County. Is that sufficient mandate, and is it sufficient for you to say that, yes, you're now starting to make gains as an alliance?
First and foremost, I really want to thank the great people of Machakos County for electing Senator Agnes Kavindu Mudama. Personally, I was in Machakos campaigning. I was in Matu, I was in Kangundo. I was in about 6 centers, and I could tell that Wiper still controls Ukambani. And having a low turnout of, let's say, 20% or 21% as it were, it is a good sample size, which is a total representation. What I can tell is if we extrapolate this, you can still be able to predict what is likely to happen in 2022, particularly in the Lower Eastern. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, the Wiper Party, they still control Ukambani. Nobody should come and lie. In fact, the withdrawal of the Chap candidate, to me, it was inconsequential. Because I was in Ukambani, I moved around, and I did my own research at the background. I was trying to confirm. They don't even know that in Gelele. So Chap candidate was nowhere. I think their withdrawal came in because they didn't want to have an embarrassment. They wanted to face themselves. So for ODM to come out and say that we influenced Chap to withdraw the candidate to support the Wiper candidate, that one is statistically insignificant. This demonstrated the strength of Kalonzo Musyoka and the strength of Wiper. And this is an indication of what is likely to come out in 2022. I belong to the Sacred Alliance, the One Kenya Alliance, between Wiper, Ford Kenya, we have ANC, and we have KANU. This is an indication to show that actually this is the coalition to watch.
Okay.
And as coalition partners, we've already said we are going to support Jubilee in Juja parliamentary seat. And we'll also be there to campaign for the Jubilee candidate in Juja. We want to leverage on others. You know, you can't go into somebody's bedroom, and the way people were bragging that Uluyaland is a place where you can go dish like dish money and expect to get votes. No, we are saying no. And Ukambani, one thing I realized, the elections were very peaceful. I also want to thank the security team. And it's because of the learning curve. When they realized of the incidents of voter bribery in Kabuchai, voter bribery in Matungu. And in fact, when we went to Ukambani to campaign, we told them they must defend and protect the vote. And that's why those people who are buying votes, bribery, during that day of elections, I met some in parliament, asked them what happened.
Right.
They said, no, we don't want to go there because you can't come the last minute and you expect to buy voters.
All right, Dr. Chris, let's listen to Dr. Nyikali if he's on the line. And when Dr. Chris is saying that the win in Machakos is testament that the coalition of ANC, KANU, Ford Kenya and Wiper is starting to gain steam, are you convinced that is the case in an election that ODM was not participating?
Well, you do not lose an election where you are not participating. So it would not be right to judge ODM in any way in an election where they do not take part. But me, I'll take a slightly different view. I must first of all congratulate the candidate who has won. Politics is a hard game, and for them to work hard and win, that they deserve the congratulations. But I want to take a different approach to the politics in this country. And I'll go back a little bit to the issue of BBI. And the one thing I liked about BBI was, I believe, and I still believe we can go there, where we will start to get rid of tribe-based politics. I know people are organized in groups, so that when a Wiper wins in Machakos, the celebration should not be as big as if Wiper wins in Western or in Nyanza, because then we are beginning to show that this is one country where, regardless of where you come from, which party, if you sell good policies and good principles, you are going to win. But if we just look at it in this sectoral way, then eventually, and it's very sad that we look at groups winning. We don't look at the country winning. We are not still discussing what policies and principles will bring us together. What will stop us from fighting at the end of an election because somebody won and somebody lost? We are not looking at what will make sure that after we have won, the resources are fairly distributed and the resources reach the people on the ground. That is not the discussion you are hearing. You are hearing the discussion of we, and them. There is no discussion of the country. My colleagues will know that even in parliament sometimes I don't say much, because when I look at what is happening, then we are still far off. What at our level we should be struggling for, is it possible that we will take Wiper to Nyanza and he gets a vote, and say we take ODM at the coast and ODM gets a vote purely on principle? So I still hope we will go back and look at the basic principles.
Right.
It is interesting. If you read BBI as an academic and Dr. Malo as an academic, and say these are the problems that bedevil Kenya, then you see, okay, these are the problems, these are the solutions. Then we say that is that. But now when we now want to say have a referendum over it, then those basic principles that we wanted to address are lost and groups come in.
You know, Sam.
No, just a moment, Dr. Chris. Let's listen to the candidates themselves, the runners-up and the winner of that by-election in Machakos County.
Yes, hata mimi nilipatwa na mshangao venye matokeo yanatokea. Kwanza kabisa umeona voter turnout iko chini sana. Tulikuwa tunatarajia kura karibu 1300 out of 600 zitafikiwa kupigwa. Asiyekubali kushindwa si mshindani. Nikiingia kwa hii race nilijua naweza shinda, naweza shindwa. Kwa hivyo nimeridhika na nasema hii imekuwa funzo.
There are also Kambas who are voters who work in Nairobi. We have those ones who work in factories. It is during the rainy season, and we are also preparing our shambas. And apart from that, sisi tulikuwa tumepanga yule tulikuwa tunataka kuangusha. Sasa huyo alipojitoa, wakasema mama atapita tu.
When I'm doing the work of a senator of oversight, Mutua, governor of Machakos, I respect you. I want you to cooperate so that we can deliver to the people of Machakos.
The new senator of Machakos County, Agnes Kavindu Mudama, of course, very bold there, saying that she's ready to do her job. And as she begins to do that, I was there and I witnessed quite a bit of deployment when it comes to the resources, the ballot papers themselves. Obviously, if you've been in this country, you know the number of ballot papers that have to be printed for people to participate in an election are obviously more than the registered voters. A voter population of 620,000 and 490,000 booklets or ballot papers are likely not to have been used. We saw a deployment of police officers of at least 2 police officers at every polling station. But Dr. Chris Omalwa, after all this money has been spent, yet the voter turnout is so low, is there something that we are doing wrong as a country, spending so much money for so little, yet all we need is to have democracy going on?
I think in future, when it comes to by-elections, as opposed to general elections, whereby the voting day is normally declared like a holiday to allow the public to go and vote, I think in future, we should look for a way so that IEBC, if it can put elections, maybe on a weekend, let's say on a Saturday, because people must earn their daily bread, people have to go and work. If they don't go work, they'll not be assured of putting bread on their table. And when you look at Mavoko, and by the way, Mavoko is not just only campus. We also have Luyas who are there, Kikuyus who are there. The entire population is there. People have moved from Nairobi because it's expensive, and they look for a cheaper place to stay. Just like in Mombasa, you find people cross the ferry. They go live the other side of Kwale side because it is cheaper. It's because of the economic hardships. So on that particular day, particularly those people who live in Mavoko area, these are the people who work in factories, in industries, in the industrial area, the sides of Athi River, and on that very day, those people are back to work. And that's why there was that low voter turnout. And that's why I was suggesting in future, maybe IEBC should look for a way of putting the by-elections either on a Saturday, or they talk to the people in that environment, the employers, so that they can be able to allow the people to go and vote. But having said that, Sam, I want to tell my friend Honorable Nyikal, that Dr. Nyikal, that ODM did not get an attractive candidate. It was not attractive for Machakos. Of course, they were expecting for people to come and vie on their party.
What do you mean attractive?
So, no, if it was attractive, they'll have attracted candidates to go and vie. So they should not come and pretend. ODM is like having a slow puncture. You can see the number of elected people have been shrinking. You can see now as we speak, you can see cost is gone. Real land is gone. So in future, ODM will only be around in Luo Nyanza. So Honorable Nyikal should not come and lie to us. The issue here is They put candidates, but they were not attractive. The same way in Kapchai, they tried, but they took off because there was no hope of winning on an ODM ticket. So you cannot come and lie to Kenyans. We know very well ODM is a shrinking party, and in 2022, it's going to remain in some regions. It's because they were not trustworthy. They messed up the coalitions that they were in, and they were getting positions.
Dr. Chris Amala, I'm just wondering.
Can I respond to that?
All right, Dr. Nikal, go ahead.
What you see, exactly what Chris is saying is what I was saying. This is the tragedy of our leadership. The total inability to look at the country at large. And you say, if ODM does not put a candidate and decides that this place we don't put a candidate, we probably don't see the chances of winning here. Well, that is actually a very logical thing to do. But then what you do is say, among the candidates that are here, which candidates, regardless of their party, is actually espousing principles that are good for the country, not principles that are good for our people. Until we leave this our people, I know we are organizing groups. I'm in ODM, I come from Nyanza, Chris is in his party, he comes from where he comes from, and so. But that is the thing we must start fighting, so that when, okay, he's saying ODM has lost in Western and North, at least he's saying that it is there to put candidates there, and you can feel it there. Now, when we come to the general election, that may totally be a different ballgame, because when you talk of by-elections are the most partisan elections, because all individual interests from the top of the party to the bottom, all the resources they have are put. And if you are exposing tribal and small communal things, of course you are likely to win in your area. Now when you come to a general election where actually people have to fight individually, MPs have to fight individually, MCAs have to fight individually, then you now start to see what is the true picture of an organization when things are widespread, large, national, and to be taken in that issue. So I never want to get into a discussion where you want to say, I'm better than you, this person is better than this party, is better than this party. Which party is espousing principles that will be good? And people are showing us that they are more concerned with their daily lives. That's why they're coming out, low turnout, when it is working period, because they are concerned about their life. We must interpret that into the bigger picture and say, yes, even at the bigger policy levels, we must look at things that touch people's daily lives. And me, that's where I am. And ODM, I'll fight for ODM, wherever it is. I don't think it is
and Dr. Nikal, as you talk about that, I want to invite Senator Kasanga, but before I do so, let me play you a clip here of the contest that was in Machakos between Wiper and Maendeleo Chapchap. We know very well that the Maendeleo Chapchap candidate, was he withdrawn, or he withdrew from the race just a few days before the by-election? But this is what the leaders said about this.
The withdrawal by Maendeleo Chapchap was unfortunate. It never favored us. We know the trickster, the gentleman is. Tunajua alikuwa anataka kuenda wapi. Na even when withdrew, he never said he's supporting us. So we know who you are supporting.
We had a conversation with Kalonzo Musyoka, and he was adamant. To him, it was a matter of life and death. To him, it was a matter of arrogance. It is our way or no way. And we told the president that, and the Prime Minister, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, that we, Maendeleo Chapchap, are forward-looking. We love our country more than we love ourselves and our own arrogance. But we did not step aside for Wiper per se. No. We did not do it because we love Wiper. Wiper are our competitors. We did it because we love this country.
All right, Patrick Makau, the Member of Parliament for Mavoko constituency and Governor from Mutua.
That seems that at least we share that with Mutua.
Let me tell you something, Sam.
Love for our
Let me
country.
just say this.
Until we politicians
Sorry,
leave,
just a moment, Dr. Nyikal.
politicians leave the parochial interests, the country is going nowhere.
Dr. Nyikal and Senator Kasanga, both of you are speaking at the same time, but Senator Kasanga,
Okay.
the question I want to raise with you is, you see, these people are fighting about the candidature of people within their parties. So it appears like the party leaders had a meeting, they sort of didn't agree, there was persuasion from the president according to what is being reported, but at the core of it, you don't see the interest of the people of Machakos.
Actually, on the contrary, Sam, first, I really take exception to Governor Mutua's words about my party leader. Everybody knows Kalonzo Musyoka and arrogance don't go together. We all know that. Everyone knows Kalonzo Musyoka is not an arrogant man. But bottom line, even for the governor to field a candidate and say to the people of Machakos, please elect somebody who is not going to disturb me. Mtu ambaye hata nisumbua was the words he would use during his election campaign. I mean, what does that tell you? Even from where we sit from you, it cannot work that way. And that is why our party leader was particularly, he was insistent that we have to get the right candidate for the people of Machakos. So this tells you now, like what Honorable Nyikal was talking about. We think in a holistic manner. When we are fielding a candidate, that is what we had in mind. You need a candidate who is going to be there for the people, who is going to really look into the interests of people. Governor Mutua's candidate was only there to serve his purpose, to continue hiding what it is that he's doing there, which we are going to unearth. And even if it is not going to be unearthed in this period, even in the next electoral cycle, I am very sure IEBC and others are coming for him. And I can tell you this without a doubt. Even when you see the auditor's report on the usage of COVID funds, Machakos governor and his government have a lot to answer on that issue.
Do you have the specifics?
The insistence is there in the report. Actually, and the report is a public document, Sam. If you want it, it can be, you can find it, and you will see the specifics on each and every county. So it was important and imperative that as the leader of Ukambani, that is His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka, was insistent that we have to get the right person for Machakos people. And the right person was, of course, Kavindu. So I'm happy to hear that the other candidate, Ngengele, has ceded, which is correct, because that's what you do when you lose, you accept. And then you just offer yourself to be ready to work with the incoming person, because you want to deliver to the people of Machakos in the end. So basically, that's what I can tell you. And part of the reason why, I think Governor Mutua also, removed his candidate without offering any support to any particular candidate. We know part of the reason, of course, was to discourage voters from coming out. That was part of his strategy, as you have heard the other leaders say. But be that as it may, the right decision was made for the people of Machakos.
If that was his strategy and actually we saw the low voter turnout, does it then mean that Wiper is not as persuasive in the region to the extent that you're not able to marshal the numbers to come out and vote?
Not like that. Actually, what Honorable Ndeti has said, Wavinya Ndeti, is true, because we were prepared for a battle with his candidate. Then when he withdraws his candidate, a lot of people felt, anyway, Mama ameshapita. There was that, you would hear that from the marketplaces as the campaigns were going on. They were certain that Mama amepita, so they didn't see the need, to leave their business and, go and vote. A lot of that happened.
Right.
And also a lot of, voter buying and discouraging of voters was happening on the sidelines. And these were reported, of course, to the Interior Ministry.
Okay, I wish we had more time, but Dr. Chris Omala, do you have something to say about this conversation?
Yeah, so something I want to say is I saw this Honorable Senator Agnes Kavindu, a very respectful lady, a lady of God, and I've no doubt Machakos have made the right decision. But for Governor Mutua's case, he was just he didn't want an embarrassment because his candidate was going to be embarrassed. To me, I find it more of he didn't want embarrassment as opposed to what Senator is saying, that it was to discourage people to have a low voter turnout. It doesn't matter. Whatever the population and whatever the sample is a representative of the entire population. Even if the voter turnout is going to be low, still it could not change the results. But congratulations for the people of Machakos. we look forward to work with Senator Agnes Kavindu. But now about UDA, the wheelbarrow, it tried. Much that it performed dismally, but it did better than ODM, who are unable to get a candidate to field in
come on, Dr. Chris. ODM did not field a candidate. How can you compare them to, yet they didn't participate?
They failed to get a candidate. They failed to get.
Exactly. You don't use an election, you don't participate.
So
Dr. Nikal.
So you can't compare with Wheelbarrow. Wheelbarrow did better. At least they got a candidate who gave them 15%.
Dr. Nikal.
That is called vitriol. You know, there is that innate vitriol feeling towards the party. I won't display it as it's displaying it. A party does not shield the candidate, then you say the party has lost. I mean, Chris is actually a PhD person, and they even say it, that it doesn't matter the size of the sample. He is a PhD person, he knows statistics. If the sample is small, it is not representative of the people.
I didn't say that.
Dr. Chris Omalo, Dr. Chris.
When N is small, what is the result?
Well, unfortunately, again, just a moment, Dr. Chris Omalo.
Representative, it means all the dimensions are involved.
Dr. Chris Omalo, when both of you speak, we cannot hear any of you. And we need to conclude this because sometime last week, I wish we had more time to engage on this, but we had IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati before Parliament. But the question I want to focus on for now is that when you see the situations in Machakos County, low voter turnout at a time that the country is waiting to see a referendum in the coming months and then a general election in August of 2022. Actually, it's on the 9th of August. Dr. Nikal, are you concerned that we have an IEBC, a commission that is still missing 4 commissioners? It doesn't have a substantive chief executive officer. There doesn't appear to be any route or a plan to ensuring that it's well constituted. What do we do in the remaining 16 months or so?
That has been a concern. My concern as an individual has been a concern of our party, that definitely we have to do something about IEBC. It really has to be structured to be up to scratch and do what it needs to do. To downplay that would be to hoodwink ourselves as a country. So that point I agree with you. IEBC as constituted now will not deliver what the country needs.
And Senator Kasanga, is there anything that Parliament can do? Because, I mean, you are the representatives of the people. Is there anything you can do to force action being taken? Because we know a law was passed to ensure that the commission can be fully constituted. No action yet?
Actually, Sam, last week I happened to be in the same room as the IEBC chairperson, Chebukati, when they made their presentation to the BBI teams that were listening, the 2 committees of Parliament when they were listening. And this issue did come up, and the 2 committees have said that as soon as they have finished with the BBI report, they will actually now delve into those issues of IEBC composition, boundaries, and many other issues that are still outstanding before the referendum or the election for 2022 comes in. So I believe something is definitely going to be done in that. And of course, with the spirit of BBI and cooperation, I have no doubt that there will be a solution to it before the time comes. And just for me to mention something that had been just previously discussed, IEBC also has to now learn to do things differently. If by-elections have to happen during a working day, then they have to also think technology. They have to think of ways or means of making it easier for Kenyans to vote without disrupting their usual lives. And this will also work towards them saving a lot of money based on now what you had said, Sam, a lot of money has gone to waste in the by-election. So I think IEBC really needs to come fully round and adopt new methods of doing these things. And we know it is possible if they set their minds to it, Sam. So I have no doubt something will be done when it comes to IEBC before the referendum and before the election of 2022.
Including picking of new commissioners before the referendum?
Yes.
What needs to be done constitutionally is going to be done. That one I have no doubt about.
Wow, you're so confident. And,
yes, I am. Always positive.
Dr. Chris Omalo, I don't know the positivity is going to be the solution here. Just a moment. I don't know whether you were in the Joint Select Committee of Parliament when you were looking at the election laws, but even if you are not, you remember that process and what went on. Several laws were amended, several issues were brought up. And at the time that now we 16 months to the election and all these outstanding, what must we do in your view?
Thank you very much. Parliament, the role of Parliament is to enact laws. And I want to say that as far as IEBC is concerned, National Assembly passed a law, that is the IEBC Act, and His Excellency the President assented to the law. And the critical amendment in that law was for President to select the selection panel. So in the IEBC Act, we had put a selection panel which is going to be responsible for the interviewing of the 4 missing commissioners. And in this panel, I think we had put a provision, somebody from the law, I think Law Society of Kenya, we had a religious person, I think it's a 7-member committee, if I remember very well. So it's upon the president right now, and we are calling His Excellency the President. Everything is in his hands. He should put a selection panel in place as per the IEBC Act, so that this selection panel can start interviewing prospective commissioners, because we can't afford to go for a referendum without the complete composition of the IEBC. So as we speak right now, we only have the 3 commissioners. We need the 4 commissioners. Parliament has passed the amended IEBC Act. So we are requesting His Excellency the President to move with speed and put a selection panel in place to start interviewing quickly, so that once we get those names come to Parliament for purposes of vetting, so that IEBC can be fully constituted, so that they can also hire the CEO, so that they can start working. And looking at this, the joint committee that was just doing the public participation, one thing I want to say, Sam, is that the issue of boundaries, it is actually the responsibility of the IEBC to do the delimitation of boundaries. So my humble request is, as they go write this report, let the 70 constituencies be there, but leave everything to IEBC to do the delimitation, because that is their responsibility, that's their role as per the Constitution. Politicians should not get involved in this. Let IEBC be the one.
But Dr. Chris Omala, should those constituencies be domiciled in the counties as stipulated in the BBI document in one of the schedules?
My thinking is different. I think BBI should have just said we are going to have the 70 constituencies, yes.
Okay.
But when it comes to delimitation, they should have left that work for IEBC, because IEBC will look at the data, and they already have a data. So they are trying to extrapolate. There's already a trend which had been developed. For example, when you come to Trans Nzoia, a constituency like Kiminini and Cherangani, they have about 7 wards. Cherangani has 7 wards, Kiminini has 6 wards. When you look at Endebess, has only 3 wards.
Okay.
So there was already issue of equity, and IEBC has the data. So we must leave the responsibility to IEBC, because it's IEBC which understands. It is their role.
Okay.
So we are calling upon the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics to give the statistics to IEBC,
okay,
and IEBC can be able to determine which county deserves how many constituencies.
All right, Dr. Chris Omala, I wish you had more time, because that's a very important conversation, and I don't know what it means for the BBI sponsored constitutional amendment bill, because it stipulates where the 70 constituencies should be domiciled in specific about 28 counties. But you read something about IEBC selection panel, and I just want to, for the sake of the public, that the selection panel is to have 4 persons representing the Parliamentary Service Commission, and 1 person representing the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, 1 person for NCCK, 1 person jointly representing the SUPKEM, NMLF and CIPK, and then 1 person from the Evangelical Association of Kenya, 1 person from the Hindu Council of Kenya, and 1 person representing the National Council for Persons with Disability. And all these people has to sit down and recruit 4 commissioners to fill the positions that are currently vacant. And the qualification is a university degree and proven experience in electoral matters, management, finance, governance, public administration, and law, and must meet Chapter 6 requirements. But all the same, this is on paper, but no vacancy has actually been declared in terms of gazettement, and therefore the process of recruiting, the process of even having a selection panel has not begun. But Senator Kasanga says that she's positive before the referendum, if at all it happens, all this will have been done. Dr. James Nyikal, Dr. Chris Omala, Senator Sylvia Kasanga, thank you so much for your time. I wish you had more time to continue with this, but then again, there comes a time that you have to focus on other matters. And as we conclude, to remind you that 1.19 million